This is Being Blunt with Adhuna, and in my quest to explore the future of hairdressing in India, I have to keep chasing my friends and colleagues around their salons. Do you recognize this door? Ta-da! This is Vipul Chudasama, and we're at his salon to talk about the future of hairdressing.
I'm super excited.
I've been following Vipul's career for many years now and always been extremely impressed by the way he presents himself, presents his work, and has created such a wonderful, very polished, very beautiful brand, Vipul Chudasama Salon. Vipul, we met, I think, back in 2006, you're saying?
Yes.
I somehow think it was before then. But what I remember about you is you were always punctual. You were always excited to learn more, and you never, ever, ever stopped practicing.
Till today.
That is really something that I believe has given you the edge to the kind of work that you do right now. And it's something that throughout my career, I think I have said this and said this to my people, my team. If you don't practice, you don't gain. And I think you are living, breathing proof of that as a good practice as a hairdresser. What are your thoughts about practice?
So I completely agree, and till today I know I'm doing that and living that, because I remember when L'Oreal had created a dream team. So during that time, definitely I was very passionate, but still somewhere there was, you always feel that there's something missing in you being a hairdresser. And in 2010, when we went to Paris, we have done that long hairdressing and all of that. After coming back, we had to submit a lot of assignments, to Christophe. And that 4-5 months was really, really crucial for me, because I was just not getting it. It was really tough for me, and after that, during that 5 to 6 months, one day I was so frustrated, or I was like, why it's not happening? And then I realized, I think I'm not giving enough time to what I have learned. And long hairdressing was something, it was just so new for me, because I was cutting hair, I was coloring hair. Long hairdressing was not my cup of tea. And then I decided, no, I need to get this, because I have to do a show in Paris. And that was my dream from the day I started my hairdressing career. Because my family, they are a barber family, they have salons, my dad has a salon and all of that. But I always used to think that I don't want to do hairdressing and I will become a CEO or something like that. And unfortunately, I had to start with hairdressing. But when I decided that I want to now do this, or I have to do this, I want to make it big. I just don't want to work 9 to 5 or do like 8 appointments and that's about it. I want to live this, and I want to do a show somewhere in the world, internationally, and that came true when I got selected for Dream Team and we did a show in Paris. So that 5 to 6 months made me learn that if you practice, then only you can do things better. You can survive. You'll be always ahead in the game. That's something very, very important. And from then, so after that 5 to 6 months, when I realized I'm not really doing well, I was working throughout the year. So Monday to Saturday, I was taking care of academy and salon when I used to work with Enrich. And Sundays, which used to be my week off, every Sundays, continuously, throughout the year, I was just practicing. And my director, my bosses were like, "What are you doing? You are not even giving time to yourself, and every day you are coming to work. That's not the way you do things." I said like, "No, I need to get this." However, and that's how and I saw some amazing results after that.
I think that's the big differentiating factor between a successful hairdresser and a mediocre hairdresser.
True.
And while that sort of kind of hurts me to say it, but that is a true fact of our industry. And that deciding factor is that being able to, or having the mindset to push through that barrier and become the best at what you do.
Right.
And have no lesser goals. And I have watched you grow, Vipul. I have interacted with you as a young hairdresser, and what I see that you've created today is quite fabulous.
Thank you.
I feel that everything around your brand, if I may say, has a look, a feel, a polish to it, and very, 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 very impressed.
Thank you.
Very
I think
well
this is like a dream come true. Like when you are not a hairdresser, you're watching a film which is Dil Chahta Hai, and you see some amazing trend in India coming up, which is definitely created by you all. And from then I used to always think about you, that because I used to read about salons, that when you started Juice Salon in the magazines and all of that, and then we learned. So I used to always feel that when and how I can become like you, reach there, and see. I'm so lucky that today I'm sitting with Odd. That's
No,
like
I remember once seeing your work over the years. I mean, there's people like you, there's people like Seema. I would also, say Avan very much has this kind of mindset of perfection and pushing through and making sure that everything is absolutely perfect. Attention to detail. I remember meeting you at that stage that you just talked about in your career, where you were practicing. Nothing else was going on in your life except just focused on hairdressing. And I had a phase in my career also where that happened, in the very, very young days. And I think in the beginning, if that's the way you drive that, then the results pay off in the end. How that picture looks is very difficult to pinpoint. What you imagine, what you dream, doesn't necessarily always turn out in exactly that way, but it's a version of that. Which brings me to say, like, these conversations that I want to have with all our friends and colleagues from the industry is about how the industry has changed over the years that we've grown up in the industry, and what is the future going to look like? How different will it be to what it looks like right now? Are there things about our industry that we should change for better? Is there something that we should forget about, like because it's old-fashioned now, or so there are two arguments, according to me, that do you maintain a structured learning system, or do you allow people to be more free-flowing? So I think there's pluses and minuses for both approaches.
Yes.
But what's your feeling? What do you feel about where we are today and where we possibly be 10, 15, maybe even 20 years from now?
So, first I would like to, share that you said two different things, that whether the one should or the brand should have freedom or one should have more structured approach. I think I would say it should be combination of both. Why? Because when it comes to education, because we are in the service industry, and it's very important that you have to do everything systematic way.
Yes.
Or you need to follow the method to achieve or to deliver the service to your consumers. That's something very important. And for that, you need to have everything structured. And just not about the services, but even when it comes to academy and education, it's a serious business. A lot of people just get into education, open academies. Every lane you have academy in our country now. And I feel sometimes that, oh my God, what's happening? Because education is just not about money. It's about creating someone's future. It's about creating someone's career. Because whatever they're going to learn from day one when they believe in you, that this is the academy where I'm going to start my future. It's a super serious business, and a lot of people just take things for granted and they just do it for money. That shouldn't be there. And then why you should have freedom? Because what business we are into, that's artistry. And when it comes to art, if you have limitations, it doesn't work. So you need to learn your foundations, basics in a structured way, and after that, you have freedom to play around and do something personalized for your consumers, or even if you're working on a film, or you're doing any fashion shoot or anything, you should have that freedom to create your own piece of work, to deliver the message to the world that this is what you like, this is what you feel, and this is what you want to create. So you need to have, I think, mixture of both. That's something very, very important. That's what I have been following from last couple of years. And somewhere I feel that there's still need of improvement, and I think that should be there for every artist. You should not feel that I'm complete now and I think I know everything. So that hunger is very important, and that's what we have been doing. Like, for example, if you talk about the future, the digital is something is going to be the next big thing in our country, because we do our best in within the 4 different walls of your salon or academy. But it's very important that whatever you have to reach out to the world. You need to show it to the world that what you are good at it, what you do, what you believe in, and what sort of style or expression of hair you have to send the message. Just don't keep it to yourself, but share it with people. And that's how eventually the business, whether it's for academy where you will have more people inquiring for your courses and all of that, or for salon where people inquire about getting the services. Like in my salon, that a lot of consumers, they come and they ask for, oh, do you do that mini photo shoot? When I'm going to get my hair done, are you going to do that videos and all of that? Are you going to talk about that?
That's
that open the door, what you ask me.
I'm going to walk through that door later on for sure.
Yeah, so
while I'm here.
Because these are the moments, right? People really look for when you go for any or visit any conventional salon. It's typically you have a mirror, you sit there, you get your services done. So we need to really think through a different concept every time, come up with something for the future to inspire whether hairdressers or even consumers. I think that's something very important, I feel.
Since you've touched on the digital aspect of it, I don't know about you, but I'm let's say I'm technologically challenged, and my age group, I think they stick to Instagram, Facebook, and if they're brave, they're on Snapchat. So the young kids are using so many more platforms. How is that going to play out? Like we think we are quite evolved because we are using Instagram as a marketing tool for our business, and we've over the last few years been exposed to how that can help our business, as you rightly said. But what's next? Is there some more stuff? I'm sure there's stuff that I am not aware of that the younger generation are doing to influence their clientele. What we grew up on, or what you know, I and even you, I'm going to say that you're the next generation to me of hairdressers. So what we grew up on, yours was a little bit more from what I grew up on, and then it's going to change again, right? And the changes, the evolution in technology are much quicker than the evolution of, you know, the art of hairdressing or the way we work. For example, how do you feel about a robot doing a haircut?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think a lot of people have been thinking about this, that, you know, what will be the future down the line, 20 years or 30 years, that will robots, you know, will replace the hairdressers. But somewhere, I don't know, that would be slightly challenging because because what we are into, you know, the business, that is more personalized, and that's another thing, you know, or I feel that the competition is increasing day by day within our country, city, or in the world, and maximum people are focusing on quantity. That's number of salons or number of services. So it's all about numbers, which is fair. It's important.
It is important.
But at the same time, if you want to survive in this competitive world, there's only one way, is that quality.
Mm-hmm.
If you really, you know, focus on quality of services, then I don't think so. And I'm sure, you know, that robo can replace that hairdresser, because, you know, who will really think through, who will, you know, think artistically, what is personalized, because robo, end of the day, it's a machine, right? So whatever command you want to give,
the human is going to program the robot. The human hairdresser is
Correct.
going to program the robot and only teach it basic haircuts.
can be, you know, creative or innovative, personalized services. So yeah.
So you can't, because that is a combination of your hand, your heart, your head, the way you think, and about your discussion with your client. So let's say that that's a bit extreme,
Mm-hmm.
but I just thought I'd ask. It's something that is, I mean, there are prototypes of this, doing like a very basic haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it exists,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not here in India. And, you know, when I look at what you've just said right now about the market being flooded, being more competitive day by day by day,
Yeah.
we are now reaching the kind of, 30 years ago I left the UK to come to India. And India has reached now what the West, in terms of the amount of salons, you go to every street corner, there is a salon
Yes.
of some shape or form. So yes, competition is getting more fierce. People are becoming better. People are understanding hair more. There are teachers like you who are sharing their knowledge. There are the businessmen, of course, who are, you know, cashing in on our talent, and there is growth in the industry overall. So it's just curious to me that how much will it be digital and how much will it be about the personal touch or the creativity.
I think both are, because you need both, right?
It would seem that there would need to be a good blend of both things.
Yes.
Right? If you don't have structure, then you don't learn. If you don't practice, then you don't perfect.
Correct.
These things are, you know, influencing factors. I want to really talk about how you planned to design and create your own brand. It's hard. You know, it's an evolution, and it's an evolution of thought, of a thought process, I'm sure. But what you've ended up with, as a person from the outside looking in, is a very definite look and feel to the work that you do. And I think that is quite an accomplishment.
So I think, first of all, I'm really happy that today I got to know that I'm the brand, or the VC salon is the brand. So far I never thought that, still I feel a long way to go to become the brand. But if the world is looking at us as a brand, then I'm really happy and thankful that somewhere whatever we are doing, it is making sense.
Mm-hmm.
The work style, or the way we express, as an academy or as a salon brand or as an individual Vipul Chudasama, when I present myself, somewhere it's reflecting, and people are seeing that there's certain style of work coming up, or a space if you talk about. So personally, I always like minimal. I like simple stuff. I don't like very complicated stuff. I don't like busy stuff as individual artist. And I think somewhere it is reflecting for the space, for work, for everything, So the salon is monochrome, the academy is monochrome, and all of that. And maybe because, like, since I have started, one thing I was really sure that I want to always keep the bar up. I want to be always slightly different than others, and it has been challenging path. For example, salon concept, where we are the second salon in the world who doesn't have mirrors at the workstation. One is in London. I was hesitant when I thought about this, because it's very important for consumer to believe in you as an artist or as a brand. That I'm going to go to VC salon and I don't have to be really worried about my head or hair, because they're the best. That should be the feeling when they come to you. So there shouldn't be any conventional salon feeling, which I thought about. It was challenging, but so far it has worked. From last 3 years we are running the salon, and we have got some amazing reviews and the positive responses from clients. So these are the things which I always felt that I have to do slightly in a different way to establish myself or a brand. And yeah, it's you rightly said, it's an evolution. It's not that everything was planned and just happening like that. And sometimes, like you also mentioned that you dream something, but it's not always you fulfill or you achieve that, but you can be always close to
in that zone.
Yeah, around that. And I still feel long way to go, because there are a lot of learnings. Still, every day I feel that, this is not happening properly, that is not happening properly. I think we need to work on this. We have to do this. We are quite behind in this. Digitally, we feel that, we are still feeling that we are quite far. But considering our country, what other people are doing, somewhere we have created some space. Not there, but we have initiated.
Yeah. I think as a brand, you've definitely sort of kept pushing yourself. I remember years ago when at the stage you spoke about earlier, where you were just practicing, and that too, long hairdressing, which many people, either they just sort of push the long hairdressing to the side and say, I can't do it, so I'm never going to do it. You took the other route, and when you were pushing it, and you were creating, you were executing. And I remember discussing with you at some point that you should take those ideas and just make them modern. Like, don't keep doing the same look. And I now when I see your work, I feel that that's very much what you've done, the simplicity of the work that you did, for example, at the shows this time. Such a simple idea on a very almost classic shape, but it just pushed and made such a big difference. But so it was done so elegantly, I must say.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think that constantly pushing the boundary is how you improve. Some things work, some things don't. But it's the practice that I believe.
Absolutely. And I make sure that, whenever I do any shows or any big events or even small events, the planning is very important. It's not just that, you've spent 18, 19 years in the industry. You have explored everything: cutting, styling, long hairdressing, coloring. But wherever you do even small stuff, if you plan really well, you will have amazing responses and results, out of that. So I make sure that, I try different stuff, keeping or, the following the foundation approach, because like you said, simplicity, but still is very modern. So I always feel that, what I do when I present it, it shouldn't be that, when opposite person or people will see or watch that, they should not think that, oh, I can't do this. Or this will be very far, this is fantasy, but I really can't do that. So, and that's why, I always feel that, the simplicity
You want to
is,
make it accessible.
yes. So people should try and explore that. That's something very important.
I totally agree with what you've just said about the preparation. I've always said that failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And even with a haircut or a hairstyle, if you do not prepare the hair in the correct way, then your end result is not going to be, or it's going to be like 50% of what it could be. So yeah, that's a great.
You don't have that great feeling, even if it was simple one length, beautiful line. If you create, you should feel that, oh wow, that's so nice.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. The hair should speak, and that's something very important, I feel.
Yeah.
Being a hairdresser.
Yeah, that's lovely. Since we are exploring the future in this conversation, what would your advice be to a young hairdresser about how to progress?
Do you mind not if I say this in Hindi?
I would love that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I think every hairdresser, जितने भी hairdressers है, I'm sure सबको फेमस होना है, राइट? सबको नाम कमाना है, राइट? सो इफ़ यू वांट टू बी फेमस, अगर आपको फेमस बनना है, सो द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट दैट यू हैव डिसाइडेड, आपने डिसाइड किया है कि आप अभी हेयरड्रेसर हो या बनने वाले हो, एंड वो आपका करियर है. आपकी लाइफ के जितने भी ड्रीम्स है, सारे ड्रीम्स वो हेयरड्रेसिंग की वजह से पूरे होने वाले हैं. चाहे आपको बड़ा घर लेना है, चाहे आपको बड़ी गाड़ी लेनी है, चाहे आपको वर्ल्ड ट्रैवल करना है, आपको कुछ भी करना है, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ हेयरड्रेसिंग की वजह से होगा. मैं ये बिलीव करता हूँ कि मेरी लाइफ में सबसे ऊपर सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट हेयर है, उसके बाद वाइफ एंड फैमिली. वाई? आपको थोड़ा ये फ़नी लगेगा, बट क्योंकि अगर हेयर को मैं रिस्पेक्ट करूँगा, हेयर को अच्छे से समझूंगा, तो मुझे पैसे मिलेंगे तो बीवी भी खुश, घर वाले भी खुश, एंड यू विल हैव ऑल द ड्रीम्स ऑफ योर लाइफ कमिंग ट्रू. सो टेक दिस करियर. ये करियर को बहुत ही सीरियसली आपको लेना चाहिए, आपको उसको समझना चाहिए. जितना भी आप खर्चा या इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हो आपकी लाइफ में, उसी के हिसाब से आपका कुछ बजट भी होना चाहिए आपके एजुकेशन के लिए, जो आपको हेयर में आपको मास्टर बनाएगा. जो आपका ड्रीम है, आपको फेमस बनना है, आपको नोन बनना है. सो प्लान योर लाइफ, योर करियर सच अ वे दैट यू हैव सर्टेन अमाउंट, आपका कुछ बजट जो एजुकेशन के लिए हो, जो आपको हमेशा बेहतर बनाएगा. और आप बेहतर होगे, आपकी क्वालिटी ऑफ वर्क और आपके काम में काफ़ी बदलाव आएगा. कंज्यूमर्स खुश होंगे. अगर आपकी एकेडमीज़ है, आपके सैलॉन्स है, डेफिनेटली विल फ्लरिश बिकॉज यू हैव क्वालिटी एंड गुड नॉलेज. and that will get you everything. So I wish you all the best.